My journey has been about constantly stepping outside of my comfort zone to discover myself. From growing up in Istanbul to studying in Barcelona, building businesses, facing failures, which a lot, starting over in a different country, and learning to turn uncertainty into strength. Every chapter shaped me into who I am today. So I still remember one ordinary day in Istanbul.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. I am joined with an amazing guest, Miss Adile.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
The
I
most
appreciate it.
most welcome.
Thank you.
So to my audience, Adile is an entrepreneur with 10 years of experience in international sales, marketing, and business development across the European, Middle Eastern, and North American markets. Currently based in Thailand, she's actively working in the renewable energy industry across Southeast Asia. She has a proven track record of driving business growth as an entrepreneur. She successfully managed her own e-commerce business in Turkey. In addition, she has consulted for multiple businesses in Turkey, helping them establish their startups, build systems for online marketplaces, strengthen branding, develop teams, create effective marketing strategies, boost sales, and build sustainable business operations. Adelaide is skilled in cross-cultural business development, team building, CRM optimization, and leadership. She's a highly capable professional with hands-on experience in expanding customer bases, identifying strategic business collaborators, strengthening brand awareness, and driving revenue growth. I am pleased to be joined with Adelaide on today's episode of the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Adelaide, I gave the audience a long and detailed description and introduction about who you are, but can you please tell the audience a bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you very much for the introduction. I think I like myself now when you are telling about me. Well, let's see if I'm worth of these kind words. It's my first podcast ever happened to me. So I hope that anyone who is watching us today or tomorrow or anytime that they see on YouTube, they will find something that they are inspired, first of all. That's the main goal that I accepted your kind invitation. Thank you once again. Um, well, I'm 33 years old, woman, full of love, experience, and contrasts. I have come to I have come close to many things people may define as success, but I have also faced plenty of failures along the way. And I truly believe that the success is born from those failures. So my journey has never been perfect, but it has been deeply lived, and every experience has shaped me who I am today. And I'm very thankful for the all failures that I had on the way. I like to think of myself as someone who created her own unique colors, every shade of the rainbow. And my story is really about trying to understand myself, stepping outside from my comfort zone that brought me here in Thailand, and sometimes losing myself only to discover who truly I am. I think everyone needs some bit of this kind of journey in their life to discover who really they are, uh, regardless their age. And sometimes my friends calls me Pollyanna because I'm full of positivity, smiling, and whatever happens in my life, I try to be positive. But I'm not someone who ignores reality. I simply choose to not accept other people's limitations or realities as my own. That's why they consider, I think, sometimes me as Pollyanna. And instead, I try to create my own path and I walk toward my courage and hope. I'm Turkish. I'm born and raised in Istanbul. and I studied my bachelor's in Barcelona, which gave me a broader perspective on life and people. I'm also a complete coffee lover, meeting new people, learning new things, discovering different cultures. These genuinely make me happy. And one of my biggest goals has been always to explore Asia. And some of you may already know, my country is a very geographically unique one that is actually bridging Europe and Asia. So I want to connect Europe and Asia through my experience, business, and cultural understanding, just like my own my country that geographically connects two continents. Having studied and lived in Europe and now building my career in Asia, I just want to become a rich, not only business experience, but also the perspective, adaptability, and also human connection. So this is a bit of myself, I think.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, and it's a pleasure to have you on today's episode. And like you mentioned, with your experience, with your knowledge, and your background, I'm sure that the audience can take away a lot from this episode. So I'm excited to
So
do it with you. So let's go back to the start about your journey, because this podcast is all about surreal journeys as one part, as well as unique voices and stories worth sharing. So, how did your journey begin and your career in international sales, marketing, and business development? Can you talk me a bit more about that?
I think the journey began actually when I was a little child. Well, I don't know if any other cultures or countries has this kind of friend like childhood, but when I was a kid during the summer holidays, my friends and I would collect some seashells and by the beach and paint them, turn them to into necklace, bracelets, and try to sell them on the street, you know. And I think at that time I just like to sell things and create things and then sell them. I also remember that standing in front of the mirror and pretend my hairbrusher as a microphone and speaking in what I thought was English when I was 7, 8 years old. But somehow communication, storytelling, and expressing myself always felt so natural to me. I think being the oldest child in the family also contributed a lot of my sense of responsibility, leadership, problem solving from very early age. And during my bachelor's, I did an internship in marketing, and I genuinely loved it. It was so nice. But also, I never believed like people should have limit themselves to begin to just be one thing and just be in one major. I have always been so curious and multidimensional. So this mindset pushed me to learn everything I could, anything that makes me happy and fulfilled. Sales, marketing, branding, being in touch with customers, uh, having an experience in other nations, other language. Whenever I saw something that I could be improved, I want to understand it and make it better. So for me, the growth comes from constantly learning, adapting, and stepping beyond your defined roles.
That's an amazing perspective that you shared. And I really like how you mentioned that people shouldn't limit themselves to one thing. It's always good to be, like you said, curious and multidimensional. And that mindset that you mentioned, how it pushed you to pursue the different things like sales, branding, operations, business development. I think that's a very powerful mindset that my audience can take away from your journey and what you've learned from university and until now. And In your perspective, someone who has a lot of professional experience is competing and thriving in today's global market, why is cross-cultural business experience, as an example, important in today's market, in your perspective?
It's quite valuable. I think every market, every culture, every community communicates and builds relationships differently. Being exposed to different environments helps you become more adaptable and open-minded and effective in building trust globally. If you need if you need to put this as an example, for example, here in Thailand, as an expat, there's something I realized. People often avoid to say direct no, which is very different from my communication style. I was used to in Europe and Turkey. This taught me how to better understand indirect communication. So I need to read between the lines and adapt my own communication style with more empathy and cultural awareness. If not, I will not be able to understand really truly what is behind of that word. Maybe it's a no, or maybe if I directly say no to something, it could offend that person that I didn't meant to do. And also it gives you an opportunity to understand more deeply. When people feel understood, they feel safer. And when they feel safer, they're going to be more comfortable to talk to you and less stressed to express their emotion, their needs. That naturally creates a stronger relations and better business connections. But apart from that, it's also the same in life. So I think this is not only something related to business.
I totally agree. And I really like this last point that you mentioned, how it's not only relevant to business, but also life. And I totally agree on that point because when people understand you, when you can connect with them, which I hope this podcast does by showing people the guests' unique journeys and experiences, I hope that they can also, like you said, feel safer, comfortable, and less stressed. And like you mentioned, communication, as we talked about before we jumped on today's episode, is something that is really important and it's a vital skill, not just in a particular area, but in all areas when you work in today's environment. And I'm sure you agree on that as well, right?
I completely agree you because, for example, I'm in a company that we promote EPC and PPA services. It's in renewable energy, and I have a fully Thai team. So imagine that I ignore, or I don't want to understand, or I want things to go in a way that I am used to. Then it could be a great challenge for both parties that we couldn't communicate, and bad communication creates also scenarios that locks all the ways for you. But if you try to understand and build stronger relations with everyone, your surroundings, then you will unlock all the opportunities that is waiting for you behind the door.
Absolutely agree. And you touched upon the company that you work for, and I want to get into that for a little bit. And you mentioned it briefly, but I want to ask from your role and your perspective, what is your favorite part of working in this renewable energy industry and your company in Thailand?
Honestly, I love everything about it. The renewable energy industry has turned out to be an incredibly exciting file for me and surprisingly very aligned with who I am because I'm so positive, energetic, and always so there are some friends of mine who are calling me Sunshine as a nickname, but not like a Thai nickname, okay? It's just a nickname for me. And I'm not an engineer, actually. Technically, I don't know how we do things. I used to don't know. Now I know everything almost technically that I should know. But in communication, business development, and sales, I think I enjoy understanding systems, solving problems, creating value. And like I mentioned, I'm very keen to learn new things. So this is also pushing me to learn, pushing me to challenge so I can step out once again from my comfort zone. And Thailand is one of the best countries truly harvest the solar energy. With the amount of sun here, solar is not only environmentally meaningful, but also incredibly smart investment, which I believe I come from like a family business from manufacturing aluminium, and I naturally evaluate investments from business perspective as an old entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur. And most machinery takes year to pay itself, right? There's a return of investment back while continuously consuming energy, electricity, oil, and it requires maintenance as well. And there is a degradation. So solar is quite different kind of investment. It becomes an asset that reduces your operational cost while generating a long-term value. And honestly, the payback period of only 2 to 5 years, which is a great return of investment, it's honestly one of the most attractive investments I have seen. At the same time, the companies now reduces their carbon footprint, contributes their ESG goals, and strengthen their market positioning. And I truly love what I do. For me, work feels more like a passion than an obligation. I am energetic, communicative, like friendly, always smiling. So maybe that's why working in solar feels perfectly aligned with my personality, and I do really enjoy being on the side, flying the drone, having this safety helmet, shoes. It's like I feel quite excited to go to industrial estates, try to teach customers, and sometimes explain them why this is not an option anymore. It's something you should have mandatory now because of the Paris Agreement in Europe that is signed. Also, companies are pushed to give to environment. So this is another perspective. This is an industry that I learn, and I also try to transmit the information that I learn on the side, which makes me quite happy.
That's amazing. It's great to see that you have passion and so much love for what you do, and I can clearly see it from the way you describe every part of your job. So that's truly amazing, and I'm so happy for you that you found what you love and you're really enjoying it.
I do. I'm so happy too.
That that makes me curious to ask you, like, if you were to go back 10 years ago, would you see yourself having been in this field and working this job, or is this something that kind of happened and you took the opportunity, but you didn't expect it? It kind of just came.
It just came because I took, a bit of my journey. So I think I will explain later on with another question. But I took the opportunity that I feel it was a great fit for me. So I'm quite happy. I feel blessed. I think honestly, I'm not a kind of person believe in luck. I think everyone creates their own path and their own life based on their perspective. So once I landed to Thailand without any contacts, without anyone that I know, uh, I feel like I was quite blessed and I put a lot of effort and I found something just fits with me, perfectly aligns with me, my personality, my eager to learn. Yeah, I could say this.
That's amazing, and it's truly inspirational about how you were able to find your mark. And you mentioned about the theory of life that where people end up oftentimes is their perspective. And it's great to see that you also put it into perspective how opportunities and things that are the best for you comes your way at the right time.
I'm glad that I took it on the right time with the right perspective.
Yes, absolutely. And we know a bit about your journey, and we got into it a little bit in the previous question, as well as in parts of the other questions as well. But moving different regions, that must have been kind of hard to navigate because every region is different, every place is different, how you get along, the fresh start, everything seems to be different. So, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you've learned when moving these different regions? And how have you grown from the lessons that you learned?
Probably that growth starts when you leave your comfort zone and moving between different regions. And I think Southeast Asia is a different kind of it. Uh, there is no single correct way to think, communicate, or do business. There's no one correct. There's no one right. Or there is no wrong as well. I learned how important adaptability. I think I have been quite repeated this thing, but also emotional intelligence and open-mindedness. Sometimes success is not about speaking louder or pushing harder, but it's about listening better, understanding people deeply, and adjusting your approach without losing yourself. So you should have always your own color, your own perspective, and you should stand by it. But you need to adjust, your approach without losing your colors or borders or yourself. It also taught me that people are more similar than we think. Everyone wants respect. They want to trust and to be trusted and also to feel understood, seen, regardless of the culture and country. That's also another thing that I learned.
Wow, that was another great perspective that you shared, and how you mentioned about growth. And it starts when you leave the comfort zone and moving into different regions, how you adapt, that's really important. And the different ways in which you position yourself in the different countries and the different regions is a truly incredible advice that I hope my audience who's going through that can learn and take when they are about to go move into a different region or are looking to go into a different region. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're mostly welcome.
So as you know, we talked a lot about your journey, but I want to ask you this directly. What is your surreal journey? Because everyone has a journey, and in this podcast, we talk about unique voices, stories that are worth sharing, and surreal journeys. And so, what is your journey?
It's a bit complicated, but very simple one. My journey has been about constantly stepping outside of my comfort zone to discover myself. From growing up in Istanbul to studying in Barcelona, building businesses, facing failures, which a lot, starting over in a different country, and learning to turn uncertainty into strength. Every chapter shaped me into who I am today. So I still remember one ordinary day in Istanbul while I was walking with my dog, Felix. And I received a phone call that completely changed my direction of life. That that moment, it made me realize that for once I had to choose myself, make myself priority, and I decided to leave Turkey, search for a new life, new opportunities abroad, somewhere far away. But it wasn't like escaping anything there. It was about finding myself again. At that point, I had already my own business. I worked in different companies and experienced both entrepreneurship and corporate life. Yet somehow nothing truly felt aligned. While I was considering returning back to Europe because I studied in Spain and I had a lot of close friends and the life that I was used to, one of my best friends just planted, an idea like, why not Asia? It's a very nice, incredible region, potential, and still growing. Honestly, that simple conversation planted a seed in my mind. And the truth is, I had never been in Asia. And other than my friend and her family, I knew absolutely no one here. Still, I bought one-way ticket, which made me crazy later on because I didn't want to leave myself a backup plan. I think it also gives you a comfort zone. So I said, no backup plan. I arrived in a country where I didn't know the language, the culture, food, which is a great challenge for me, business environment, zero network, no guaranteed future, and very limited savings. What I did was to have experience, and I was curious and resilience and the determination, for the 2 months, because as us, we can stay here 60 days. For 2 months, finding a job became my full-time job. So from early mornings until late evenings, I applied roles, attended events, met with new people, tried to build a network, kept pushing myself every single day. After 2 months plus one day, I finally received the opportunity I had been fighting for. And today I have been in my current role for 1.5 years in an industry and a market that I knew absolutely nothing before about. People often call this, luck. As I said before, I don't believe in that. Luck is something underrating your value to me. But I learned that this is an achievement people romanticize. This actually is the result of my dedication, my persistence, my adaptability, and refusing to give up when things are feel uncertain. This journey changed me deeply because I stopped trying to fit into predefined paths, and I started challenging the limits who I am without anything that is predefined me. And then I realize my comfort zone can quietly become cages, and impossible is just a boundary that we create in our minds. And most importantly, this journey become less about providing myself to others and more about reconnecting with the version of myself that dreams fearlessly, learns endlessly, and keep moving forward no matter how uncertain the road looks. So I think this is and this is my journey. All my journey is about.
Wow, that was absolutely inspirational, as with everything that you shared about your journey and how you put it into perspective. It's truly inspirational, and I'm sure my audience is gaining more knowledge about your journey and also more about you and how you were able to navigate through your journey and then get to where you are today, which is with a job that you like and you're so passionate about it. So kudos to you and how far you've come.
Kudos to everyone who is looking for it.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to remind everyone that you can also get what you want and you can be where you want to be. This Adelaide's journey shows you that there there is no limit. Opportunities are endless. You just have to grab it and then trust yourself, and then you will be able to get into a place where you want to be. Because, like she said, the journey is all about learning and about realizing comfort zones and challenging yourself. Now, as we are approaching the end of this interview section of the podcast, I would like to ask you one question, which I ask all my guests, which is if you could voice one unique message to the world, what would it be?
Don't carry the weight of things you cannot control because life is filled with endings, and those endings fulfill new beginnings. And the only real way to learn is by truly living. The moment you step out from your comfort zone, which we, I think, repeat this word more than 10 times, you can do the counting. But the moment you step out from the comfort zone, you begin to realize how extraordinary life can be. Growth doesn't happen while you're trying to control every outcome, and it happens in uncertainty through the risk, mistakes, fresh starts, and new experience. Life is not meant to be perfectly planned. It is meant to be lived deeply and courageously. Sometimes losing your way is exactly what helps to find you yourself and your own way. That could be my message.
Thank you for sharing your unique message to the world. And thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared until this point. It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with you and to ask you these questions and get this opportunity. So I'm truly appreciative of it.
I truly appreciate for you to giving me an opportunity. Maybe a small light, someone who is seeking for stepping away or stepping out from their own comfort zones. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And as we are about to end this interview section of the podcast, I would like to leave the floor to you if you have any last thoughts or any comments or anything you want to discuss and you want to tell the audience. This is your chance, your opportunity, anything you would like to share, any words. The stage is yours.
I don't know actually, but if you are someone that who feels like you're lost and you cannot fit in the predefined roles for you, it's not because that you don't love people around you. I love my family. I contact with them every day. I admire my father. I truly love what he gave to us and who made me who I am today because it's an encouragement as well. If your family doesn't stand by you, sometimes also it's hard to take out a step. But also, well, in my case, my parents have supported me with my brother as well. But if you don't have any support, I think this is the support for you to step out because you may call me lucky again, but I don't believe that because I burden all the bridges that could give me a comfort zone as well. And honestly, the life is about what you want to do with your life, not what people expect you to do. So that could be my last comments, I guess.
Thank you so much for sharing the last comments. And again, it's been amazing to be able to have this opportunity and be able to discuss all these topics and your journey. and your story with everyone. I'm sure that the audience has learned so much to this point and they would like to know more. So if you would like to know more, you can always connect with Adelaide through LinkedIn, and more information will be in the description below as well.
Of course, anytime. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share my story. I hope it's gonna be a good light to anyone who is seeking an answer for them.
And to my audience who has made it to the end of this interview section of the podcast, I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, your family, anyone who may be interested in knowing more about Adelaide, her journey, and any of the advice she has to share. And I'll see you all for the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye bye.